I was here when I first started, but then I went away when I was 19. I went away for so many years. I just come back again recently. But it's improved out of sight to when I was here. When I lived here, everybody lived in bark huts or bark gunyahs. Because this place had plenty of stringy bark. And I think that's why the superintendent went for this place. He knew they could build out of stringy bark. It'd save a lot of material, save buying a lot of galvanized iron and that. My mum and dad came on their own free will. I had an auntie come from Taroom. When they shifted the mission from Taroom to Woorabinda, I had an auntie, mother's sister, came from Taroom, and she wanted to see her and spend a bit of time with her sister. And that's when we came to Woorabinda. I can tell you what happened the first day I came to Woorabinda, and I was only 5 then. We came in a buggy, a 2-horse buggy, and my dad hobbled the horses out, and horses not used to dogs, and they had umpteen dozen dogs here in Woorabinda. I chased our hobbled horses, and one of the buggy horse got his foot on the stump. They cut the suckers down and they left stumps about this high, and he got his hobbled chain stuck on one of the stumps, went over and broke his neck, killed him. Because I remember the next day, me and my younger brother went up with my dad and we gathered wood and burnt this horse, That's way back in 1926, I think it happened. And I still remember it if it was yesterday. They sent me from here to Cherbourg then to go to a rural trade school. And I lived in a dormitory down there for 2 years. No, it might have been 12, I think, when they first sent me down. I spent 2 years down there, anyhow, 1936 and 1937. Came back here in 1938, and I was putting roof on houses, making sanitary drums, and do all this tinsmith work that was available here, like solder up dishes and tubs and all those sort of things. Yeah, what I learned in Cherbourg, I went to the Morgan Rural Trade School and learned all this stuff. And a big lump sum money of 50 bob a month. Yeah, $1.50 a month, not a week. And they expected me to live here till I died, And there was a young fella, he's dead now, and his sisters and relations still live here, a fellow named Rankin. And I said to him, I want to get out of here, Victor. He said, you will never get out of here, Tim. He said, you and I will be here for the rest of our lives. They sent us to Mergen for 2 years. I said, no, I got a plan. There was an old white fellow, he was a foreman of the working bees in Woorabinda. And he still sent people out to work wherever they issued them out to work, They said, look, go up onto the parade ground, and he'd say, oh, you go with so-and-so here and do that job. And someone else was doing another job. And Inspector Rankin, he was a couple of years older than me. He said, no, you never get out of here. You and I, they spent money on us, sent us to Mergen for 2 years. I said, no, I got a plan. He said, what's your plan? I said, I'll ground bow. I'll Fred ground bow. I said, he's a white foreman, of works. I said, he's keen on learning to make these sanitary drums. I said, I'm keen to teach him. He said, oh, yeah, but you teach him. They said, they won't have any work for us. I said, oh, they'll find something for us. I want him to take over this job, doing sanitary drums, I said, and that'll like clearance for me to get out of Burabinda, you know. I get an exemption, which it did. I taught this old grandpa how to make these drums, and he was happy to make them because it was a job for him on about £2 a week, you know, way back in the 20s. And £2 a week and living in a place like Burabinda was a good living for everybody, white man or black man. And he was on around about £2 a week and free meat and free rations. They used to give me a bit of flour, a bit of rice, a bit of peas and all stuff. This old Fred Grandpa was on that, and he was happy with it. And both myself and this Victor Rankin, he got out. And in the 40s, he got out of Burabinda like I did. So that's how I come to get out of Burabinda. They gave me this exemption. And I went out and lived out in the cities, different cities for all my life. Up until 2 years ago, I came back here. Well, that fellow that came here and was telling people, he was one of these fellows that knows all about land, Tyndale, I think. Yeah. He was a archaeologist. And he came and studied these areas. And put them on a map, you know. He got something right and he got something wrong. He made a few mistakes here and there, Tyndale, but of course the white authority, they believe what Tyndale said, you know. But some of the Aboriginal people disagreed. But nothing much they could do. They couldn't overrun Tyndale because he was a big eye up full of archaeologists.